Excellent points there regarding sex and gender and the collection of data, which she knows I share her views. I think it's incumbent on the Minister and the Secretary of State to ensure that when they are collecting data, that it is done according to sex. So I appreciate her views. Does she agree with me, though, that the previous government put us in this situation where we are at the moment?
I thank the Honourable Lady for her intervention. It's certainly true that across the Western world at the moment there seems to be some confusion on some very basics of biology and humanity. It is important to protect children too. One data provider listed in clause 28 is the Disclosure and Barring Service. GB News reported there have been 12,000 prosecutions between January 19 and June 2022 by people on the Sexual Offenders Register who did not inform police of data changes. It is crucial that data is accurate and it's up to date. So can the Secretary of State commit to the integrity of biological sex data in the bill and in the government's data sets? I'll give him one example. The UK Health Security Agency released data on sexually transmitted infections last September 24. They released this data by sex and sexual orientation, which is important because of the different epidemiological nature of infections in the different populations. However, the footnotes share that men are defined in this data as cisgender and transgender men, and women as cisgender and transgender women, which somewhat undermines data integrity and the purpose of splitting the data in the first place. Data that is wrong, unhelpful, misleading, or misused by malicious actors can be dangerous in some cases, and many are concerned. So how is he planning to define sex, and what plan does he have for incongruous data? In the debate in the upper house, it was reported that 3,000 people, have changed their passport data on sex. 15,000 have changed it with the DVLA on their driving licence. And it was described in the House of Lords debate that up to 100,000 people may have incongruous official data sets between items such as passports and driving licences. So how is he intending to resolve this if we're to have one large data set for each person? And then finally, 45(7) talks about fees in respect of disclosure. A person will need to pay fees. Are we going to expect people to pay for their own data, and if so, how much? I know the Labour are very, very keen on increasing taxes, but can the Minister guarantee that the cost will never outweigh the actual admin cost of producing the data?
Dr. Peter Prinsley.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And the Right Honourable Lady for Sleaford and North Hykeham, she made some important points, though I have to say that I disagree with her, and she may not be entirely surprised by that. Just in relation to the amendments that were brought forward by Lord Lucas, public authorities must assess what information is required for a particular purpose. And this governs whether and how sex or gender data is processed in a given situation or a given case. They are bound by data protection legislation to ensure the personal data is accurate for this purpose. Where sex at birth is not an essential part of an identity check, so for instance in renting a property, organisations are not lawfully able to request this information, and I think that that is absolutely right in terms of protecting people's privacy. Yes, of course.
On that very point, I thank my right honourable friend for giving way, and he will know that I was one of the first Labour MPs to raise the issue of sex aggregated data in this chamber. Can he assure me, though, that the government will ensure that data on sex is accurate and reliable when necessary, and will he expedite the publication of the Sullivan Review?
Well, we have to make sure that it's accurate to the precise process for which it's being used. And just as a passport has to be accurate for the precise purpose for which it is being used, and that I can guarantee her. I'm not sure whether she's intending to come on the committee as well, but it might be that that's one of the issues that we. Oh dear, she is. I'm not sure about having, world-class rugby players on the committee. Anyway, but it's one of the issues I'm very happy to debate with her. We want to make sure that we've got it right and that we manage to embrace everybody as much as we can. Oh dear, I've started something off.
Thank you. I'm interested in his concept of for the purpose. Can he be clear that when he's writing his dictionary of definitions, as per clause, I think it's 139 or 140, he will make sure that in doing so, the definitions are clear. So that if people are looking at the information of sex, they know whether they're dealing with biological sex or some other definition that the Minister may have come up with.
I'm going to call the 25th Amendment or whatever we have and say that I'm going to write to her on that one. We're getting a bit more technical than I'm able to precisely answer. But my bottom line is that if somebody is applying to rent a property, the landlord shouldn't have to know both sex at birth and gender. I think that that is an inappropriate invasion of people's privacy. Sorry, I should also say she referred to people being able to change in changing rooms. I completely agree with the points that she made about women being able to change in protected spaces. That it just seems to me we need to use a great deal of common sense in this area. Now, the chair of the Select Committee referred to the National